Mayor, we are incredibly grateful for your investments in seniors in Washington, D.C., and in particular in the Hattie Holmes Center. I know that if my mother was here, she would be extremely proud of you and all that you've done to make our city the best in the country. Thank you for being here today. And thank you. Thank you so much for supporting this center.
Thank you. So beautiful. Thank you. Well, good morning, Hattie Holmes. You look beautiful in your purple. I am always delighted to be here. You, of course, know, don't tell anybody, but you hold a special place in my heart. I want to acknowledge your council member, Janice Loris George. Give her a big round of applause. I want to acknowledge our team at DACL, Jessica Smith, the interim director, and team. Give them all a big round of applause. And I, of course, want to acknowledge the family of our dear Hattie Holmes. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for sharing Hattie Holmes with this community. Hattie Holmes was before my time. I came on, as you know, as the council member the year this center opened. And I know that was 15 years ago. And I know how much it meant to Ms. Holmes that the center be built, how much it meant to the Kennedy Street corridor and surrounding area that this theater be saved and continue to be used by the community. And 15 years later, I'm just so very proud of that. I want to acknowledge Teresa Moore. Teresa, you've been here a good part of that 15 years, right? 14 of the 15 years. Let's give Teresa a big round of applause. And I want to acknowledge Dr. Elliott, who's here, who is from Mary Center, our new or relatively new lead agency for Hattie Holmes. So let me also say thank you. I want to say thank you for all your support these last 15 years as your council member and now as mayor, and your continued support of the very aggressive programs that we put in place for our seniors and aging community. I also want to acknowledge Councilmember Anita Bonds, who had the vision and saw it through the council to make the Office on Aging a larger Department of Aging and Community Living. So we have Councilmember Bonds to thank for that, and let's give her a big round of applause. We know that the department and you have gone through a lot, through what I call the unpleasant 2 years involving COVID. A lot of us were apart from each other. Our centers pivoted to a new format. You stayed in touch by way of iPads and phones and calling each other, but still we were all disrupted from our normal activities. And I'm so glad that we can come back in person, experience each other, and experience our wonderful city. And I'm very proud that DC is open. We know that part of what DACL is responsible for is ensuring that you have good food, good company, make friends, take classes, get everything that DC government has to offer, but also experience all that is DC that is outside of the walls of our government buildings. So I hope that you will stay in touch with us and learn about these new programs and experiences. One thing that we're investing heavily in is digital connectivity. We learned from COVID that you are mostly digitally connected, and we want more seniors to have that experience. It's probably my phone ringing. And we've also talked a great deal about modernizations of our schools and rec centers, but we know investment in our senior centers is just as important. Earlier this year, for example, we broke ground on the Joy Evans Recreation Center. I hope you heard about that in Ward 7. When it opens, it will be the premier therapeutic center in the region. And one of the distinguishing factors of a therapeutic recreation center is it has a very, very hot pool. So you will be which the director tells me is different from a regular pool. It's not just turning the temperature up, but it's basically making a pool a hot tub. So we are very proud of that investment and look forward to seeing you there. But we also know that in addition to the senior needs, I hear a lot from our residents about what about my kids and what about my grandkids and how will they be able to build a wonderful life in DC like I was able to. So keeping DC affordable is really a top priority for us. In the last budget, for example, I introduced a $40 million package that we call the Legacy Initiatives. In this package, I hope you noticed, will lower the cap on senior property taxes. So prior to October 1st, that's good news, right? It was possible for your taxes to increase 5% every year when you were below a certain income. Now, instead of being able to go up 5%, your taxes can only go up 2%, depending on what the assessment is. So that's great. We are also increasing the amount of down payment assistance for first-time home buyers in DC from $80,000 to $202,000, which is a good thing. So please visit Mayor.dc.gov, and this may be useful for you if you want to buy, but certainly for your kids and grandkids. This is a great way to buy their first property in DC. So I really encourage you, if they tell you, well, I can't afford it and I can't do it and I can't, you tell them, especially if they have a good job, they can probably afford it. And so we want them to go to frontdoor.dc.gov to learn all about our programs, especially getting $202,000 from HPAC. We also want to make sure that you have the legal support that you need when you're thinking about your own property. Now, we sometimes don't like to talk about this, but we have to plan for what's next. And one way that we can keep our homes in our families and transfer that generational wealth is to make sure that we have a plan for our property. So one thing that we're going to do with the $10 million Black Homeowners Fund is to set up a legal assistance fund so you or me or someone else in our community can make sure that we have an estate plan for our properties. So that includes making sure who's going to become the owner, making sure we have a plan for repairs and taxes so that the city or some speculator isn't getting a hold of your property, but your grandchildren will. So that is a big investment. And I also want to acknowledge that the Biden administration and the American Rescue Plan have also allowed us to make some very significant investments in expanding transportation, in ending senior hunger, and making technology more accessible. So our team at DACL is very busy making sure with the Department of Human Services that those funds available for eligible seniors are getting out the door as well. I want to continue to assure you that your public safety is tops on our list, and making sure that all of our human services agencies are working with people who need a hand up and want to get out of cycles of violence, that we have just scores of programs and millions of dollars to support their decision. We're also working with the council to make sure that the Metropolitan Police Department has what it needs. And Chief Conti, who is a homegrown DC resident, who has helped to re-engage the cadet program in school as a senior. You know that Chief Conti has been a police officer involved in MPD since he was a senior in high school. And he, like no other, will tell the story about how the decision to join the department changed the trajectory of his life and allowed him to grow up in the police department and just excel as one of the nation's top cops. And so we want to make sure that we have opportunities for our young people who choose law enforcement to start in high school, go to high school, get the credits they need to graduate, while working at MPD and getting paid. Then MPD will pay them to go to UDC to get their 60 credits while they're employees of MPD making $37,000 and getting benefits. And then they go to the police academy. Now, those are the police we want, right? All right, so if you know a young person, women and men, because I will tell you, one thing about our police academy, it has at least 50, our police cadet corps has at least 50% women. And so that is also a good thing for our department. So we're going to keep working with you. And Yasmin is here, who is right here, who is your Ward 4 Moker. And when you see her, that's like seeing me at the Hattie Holmes Center, except she's much younger. She likes to work just as hard. And so please make sure that any needs that you have are you're getting directly to her. Now, there's a big day on November 8th. You know what that is. You'll get ballots in the mail, so take care of all of those things. And should everything work out the way I expect, on January 2nd, I'll raise my hand for the third time as your mayor, like Marion Barry did. And leading up to that, I want to tell you that we're going to have a lot of big celebrations. 6 of the council members will be sworn in on that day, plus the chairman of the council, plus our delegate, plus a new attorney general. So there's a lot that's going on. We don't want to miss a beat, and we want to include our senior community in all of the celebrations and activities. And so we will look to do a lot in person. We'll look to do some things virtually as well. The last thing that I'll say is that inaugurations are often about renewal and a chance to look at things differently, get a fresh start in some cases. But it's always about hearing from you about what's important to you and your future in the district. And this is the thing I know about our seniors. I was at the Rittenhouse a week ago where Miss Avery, Willie Avery, is 107 years old. And she lives on her own. She has a great aide that supports her. She worked as an operating room technician. She was born in North Carolina and moved here in high school, I think, or maybe 12 years old. So I say all that to say that she is an example of what we're going for, right? And what I know you all aspire to. To live long is a good thing. It's a blessing, right? To live long and to live well is a real blessing. So all of the things that we're focused on is how we can help you, and this is what I aspire to as well, I think we all do, is to live a long life in the city that we love, in the homes that we love that are safe for us, with people that can support us and care for us, and have access to all of the services that we need to do exactly that. So when we talk about what our charge is at the Department of Aging and Community Development in all of DC government, is that we can age in place, and that we can live long, and that we can live well. And I know when you're engaged in the Hattie Holmes Center, you're doing exactly that. And what you can help us do is help 5 more people. So I'm a little bit less worried about you because you're sitting here. But I know that I have some residents who may be sitting at home and needing to be connected. And so as we think about our networks, whether they're church or Hattie Homes or the school communities that your grandkids are in, let's always be spreading the word that the district is a place where people can age well and age in place. So thank you very much, and happy anniversary, Hattie Homes.